Hey, good evening, everybody. I
Hey,
am Aleesha. And how are you?
and
Welcome
I'm
to
Gabriella.
Ladies Happy Hour. That's Gabriella.
Hello. Hey,
How you
how are
doing
you
tonight,
doing,
Gabriella?
Alicia?
I'm
I'm
doing
great.
pretty
Are you able to hear
good.
me okay?
Yes, I can hear you
Can
just
you hear
fine.
me
You
all
look
right?
beautiful tonight. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
You are
yes.
welcome.
Okay. Man, so there has been a lot of stuff in the news as of lately. Of course, you already know pop culture, things are happening, everything's popping. But one thing that I will say, the most recent, aside from Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson getting linked, it would be Kanye West and his interview that he did recently, and that whole interview itself. One of the biggest things I know was just from that interview, the Kardashians are a little afraid that Kanye West might have, what did they say, maybe another one of his episodes because of Kim Kardashian dating Pete Davidson. But I don't know, y'all. I mean, with Kanye West, I can't say I'm a fan, but I am a supporter, and that, I think that he is on his own journey, his own path right now, especially a path to righteousness, and that despite everything of how it may seem and it come off to others, I don't think that his ex-wife or current estranged wife, Kim Kardashian, and her dating relationship will affect him too much to the fact that he will have an episode or explosion that the Kardashian clan may be scared of. You have any thoughts about that, Kanye and their Kardashian family, or Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson?
Well, actually, I just found out today that Kim Kardashian was hanging out with this guy
Mm-hmm.
with Mr. Davidson. I really didn't even know that was going on. That was brand new to me, and I was pretty shocked. But with Kanye, I don't know if you noticed, but Kanye has been caught hanging out with a new boo as well, and apparently she's
Oh,
way younger than he is. And I thought to
wow.
myself, I thought he wanted Kim back. I thought maybe he wanted his wife back.
Right.
Hopefully, that was just a hangout buddy or just a friend. But
Yeah.
somebody caught Kanye on camera with a new girl. So my thoughts about it is, this everyone says that Kanye is crazy and always like having these rants and etc. I think he's a genius. People always seem to misunderstand people that they don't understand. He may have a few
Yeah.
issues here and there, but he lost his mother. I mean, I'm sure that any of us, if we lost our mother, we would be a little unhinged as well. But I think the man is a mastermind. And I think a lot of people underestimate him, and I think they don't understand that this is a human being with emotions. And I mean,
Right.
he has to be a genius to be able to sell clothing, jail slippers, and clothes with holes in it. And people are willing to run out and buy them. Come on, the man is a genius, and his music,
He
pretty
is.
awesome.
He is. Yes. I support
He
Kanye.
is.
He is.
Absolutely. I love Kanye. And any man that could bring Marilyn Manson to his Sunday service, I give him a high five.
Man, I hope Marilyn Manson was there for the great reasons of just wanting to experience the service and wanting to learn and grow from it himself. So it's all about spreading that love, right? The gospel, the good news.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he was. I'm not really sure. It kind of confused me because I'm a big fan of Marilyn Manson. I'm a rocker chick to my heart, and I love country too. But
Hey,
anyway, I absolutely
me
love
too.
rock. And when I saw Marilyn Manson there, I'm like, wait a minute. So how is he going to change his brand to fit into his new Jesus mode? Because he's known as one of the princes, not princess, but prince of darkness.
Hmm.
One of them anyway. So
Right.
how's he going to fit that in anyway into his new, I guess it's new, into his brand new persona, I guess? Or maybe it was just a
Right.
fun Sunday at church.
I wonder, like, is it a persona that he's gonna start embracing or new one? We'll have to see.
I, I smell a new album coming up, new music coming between him and Kanye and the Biebs. What do you think?
Hey.
See that was a great idea to bring him to church because he may be on the new church album. He could be on something new that will blow our mind. So you know that
That would
Kanye
blow
has
my
been
mind.
around. it would blow my mind too, and I'd be quick to buy that. But think about it. Kanye is smart, he is innovative, and he's been around those Kardashians long enough to know how to market himself. So I hear new music in my ears.
That would be quite the
Rock on.
yeah, right. That would be quite the crossover if it was, those
Yeah,
three collaborators. That would be something. But okay,
I
moving
think so.
forward, did you hear anything about Wendy Williams? I didn't know she had a current health scare going on.
I did. I actually heard about a current health scare, but I've heard a number of things that were going on with her, that she was having substance abuse issues as well. She was in rehab. Also, she does have, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Is it epidemia? Something like that. It's something that has to do with
Mm.
the swelling of her legs, etc. But I think that she's having a number of issues. I really have not heard
Oh
the
no.
exact issue that she has.
Right.
But I wish her well. I absolutely love Wendy Williams, and it's funny because I said years ago in acting class that my idea of being in entertainment, what I would love to do is I'd like to have my own talk show like Wendy Williams. I love the fact I love celebrity gossip. I love celebrities. So, hey, she needs to have me on the show,
Hey.
let me host. But I must say, I loved Sherry Shepherd on there. Sherry Shepherd has been standing in for her along with many other hosts, and Sherry did her
Okay.
thing. I follow Sherry on Instagram. I absolutely love Sherry Shepherd, and she has slimmed all the way down. Sherry is, yes, girl. She's doing
Fabulous.
her
Okay.
thing. Absolutely. So I can't wait for Wendy to come back, and I wish her well, and I hope she gets well soon. But
I
I've heard
do.
rumors that she may not come back.
Wow. I mean, get well soon, Wendy. I hope she does come back because she has a lot of viewers and a great audience that is looking forward to her return. So that would be unfortunate if she is unable to come back, especially if it's due to those health reasons. So I hope that's not the case. And I hope that she is going to be okay. Everything with this post pandemic COVID and vaccine, it's just so scary sometimes when the person gets the slightest type of sickness or anything. So wishing you a speedy recovery, Miss Wendy Williams. But hey,
And
Aleesha,
I'll say
since
this too.
huh,
Oh, yes.
I was gonna ask you
Oh, go ahead.
after I was gonna say, what's the latest on celebrity gossip since you like to be in and everything? If you can go in after your statement.
Well, I will say this, and I was going to say about Wendy, her husband
Hmm.
Kelvin, he's not helping the situation either. Since I heard that he's now engaged to Sharina, the side chick, and they're spending up all of Wendy's money. So if you think about it, this woman has already had substance abuse issues. Her man left her for the side chick and had a baby with her, and they're living off of her money.
Man.
I mean, you know what? How I feel like this. She's trying to take time to recover emotionally, mentally. She's going through a lot, and I feel sad. And honestly, if I were the judge, I wouldn't have given him one dime. That man deserves nothing. As simple as that.
Man.
So back to your question about in celebrity gossip. Actually, you know what? Astro World. This whole thing
Ugh.
with Astro World, and what is the man's name? Oh my gosh, his
Travis
his
Scott.
name slipped my mind.
No,
Yeah, Travis
Travis
Scott.
Scott. Hmm.
Is it Travis Scott? Yes.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for him because a lot of people are blaming him. And I thought to myself, if you've ever
Mm.
been on a stage
Hmm.
performing, which I have, you
Hmm.
cannot see or hear what's going on in that audience. Unless those people were right in the
Right.
front, you can't really see or hear what's going on. And that is
Yeah.
live, and there's people screaming, there's noise. He has an earpiece in his ear. And there are a lot of people that
Hmm.
are blaming him, suing him, etc. And I said to myself, how can you sue a man that is there under contract to perform and he's doing what he's supposed to do? Those stage managers, etc., they're the ones that are responsible. The person that put on that actual concert, they're responsible. I mean, because he's the big name, of course, people are going to pin it to him. But this man, I mean, I'm watching how he's reaching out to pay for the funerals of the people that were there. He's reaching out, trying to pay medical bills. He's doing all types of things, showing that he cares. And I'm like, I can't understand how you could blame one man on a stage. I'm sure that they had security went over everything they were supposed to go over before the show. They normally do. So blame the security team, blame the local police, blame anyone else, but to blame someone who was there performing and just trying to do his job, I think is really wrong. And they even asked Drake what he thought about it, and I believe he,
Really?
yes, yes, they
What does
asked
Jake have to
Drake
say?
about it, and I believe his statement was, and I kind of read it really quick before we started, and I think he was saying his heart goes out to them, etc. And I'm going to say something else about that, about Drake. Speaking
Hmm.
of Drake, Drake was just spotted on Instagram, apparently in the strip club, and he threw up $1 million for these strippers. And I had a whole
I,
lot to say about that. They showed the strippers in the strip club counting all the money, and I said to myself, you know what, Drake, you could do more with your money than throw it up in a strip club, because I'm tired of seeing these rappers and these successful black men that have decided that the strip club is a great place to hang out and throw money in the air. Why don't you throw money to people who have college degrees to pay for, people who are homeless
right?
with their children, whole
Some
families out here?
scholarships.
There are so many,
Hmm.
right, scholarships, etc. Help other people besides strippers. And I literally had someone on Instagram get angry at me, saying that I was demeaning strippers. And I said, well, it's not that I'm demeaning strippers. I mean, one of my favorite artists is Cardi B. She used to be a stripper. I don't look down on her. She did what
Right.
she needed to do to climb up to the top. But I will say this, there are other places that black successful young men could spend their money, use their money on people that really truly need it, other than
Hmm.
strippers. I mean, kudos to those who are out there, the strippers of the world. I applaud you.
Right.
That's a tough job. I've never done it myself, but pole dancing classes, I've tried them, and that's a tough gig. But anyway, back
It
to this
is.
Astro World. What are your thoughts on that?
So many. I mean, I agree that it's super unfortunate how much blame Travis is getting for something that, he didn't really have control over. I agree that his team, his management, the stage organizers of the venue, I think there should have been more proper control. I mean, how many people were at this concert? Hundreds, right? And I heard there was only one ambulance, like EMT, available. That doesn't really make sense. And I'm assuming Travis doesn't have control over how many EMTs and firefighters or cops are getting hired. So I would assume that that's, management and staff of the venue organization or administration themselves. So that was disappointing to hear that, proper and adequate care wasn't allotted for beforehand. Um, Two, I think that it's all just super sketchy and weird and just a really sad ordeal. I know that there is now another rumor or term jab going around that there was an individual on drugs or something, and he was going around, injecting people with a needle. Um, I know that other people were saying that they were overheated, and it was like a mosh pit. I don't know if you've ever been in a mosh pit, but it gets very hot. You could be naked and you're on fire. You could be fully clothed and you're still on fire. So it's very hot in the center of a mosh pit. So, with the air gone, everyone's, hyperventilating essentially and just freaking out. So, they're trampling over one another when they're trying to run to get oxygen and air. So, I don't know if it was just because someone stabbed them with the needle. I don't really think so, because there's also fans' videos going around circulating saying, it was crazy. But another additional rumor is, everyone's kind of what is it, equating it to a sacrifice, like a ritual. I don't know if you've heard that or seen that happening around, but people are saying that it's a form of ritual or something because of Friday, the Astro World theme, and See on the Other Side, the poster sign that was on the concert. It is just, it's a whole, there's just so many different rumors essentially to how this all happened, but at the end of the day there were lives lost for going to a concert. You wanted to go have fun, live your life, and enjoy the moment, especially during this whole quarantine, post-pandemic. Now we're outside, like, so it's really sad, just all those lives, those young lives that were lost, and they were just trying to live, make the most of it, and it's a tragic way to go out and super unfortunate. So my condolences really go out to those families, those friends, all those commuters and attendees, because who would have ever thought that something like that would happen? And I just hope that everyone is going to make it through on the gracious side, the good side. I know, not to be a pun intended with Travis Scott, see on the other side his poster, but I'm hoping that everyone can, make it through to the positive light. I just, who knows what happens. I hope it wasn't no ritual. And I hope it wasn't
Yeah.
anything crazy.
I think everybody loves to equate everything to a ritual. And do rituals
Yeah.
actually happen in Hollywood? Yes, they do. Of course they do. I mean, we all
Wow.
know that's true. But I really feel that trying to blame just one man is absolutely ridiculous. And I did actually hear it on the news that there was someone that had a needle that was injecting people. So that was actually going on. I think there was a number of things that were happening at the same time because there were
Yeah.
thousands of people out there. And when thousands of people start
Thousands.
pushing, people can get hurt. And to see the security altogether, whoever organized this entire show, that I feel like they're the ones that are responsible because they have to think of scenarios like this. What if this happens? I don't believe I've ever seen this happen before. And it's very scary. I mean, in this day and age, you
It
really
is.
can't go anywhere anymore. And something I'm really afraid about is here in Orlando, where I'm located, we're having the Electric Daisy Carnival that's going on here. I believe it's this
Oh
weekend coming
my.
up. And the Electric Daisy Carnival is one of those huge events. It's the EDM music, which some people, the old school people, called it techno music. But it's a huge
Uh,
event where everyone comes out dressed in, dressed with flowers, dressed with all types of neon and this and that. And it's known to have a lot of drugs because I also work in the hospital environment as well. And every year, we
awesome.
see
Thank
people
you.
from the Electric Daisy Carnival, and you're welcome, and they come into the ER many times. There's a lot of drugs that go on there and a lot of crazy things that happen as well. Every single year,
Yes.
they have paramedics everywhere. But here in Florida, they prepare for it because we know that there are going to be drugs there. There are going to be people that overheat, etc. Because Florida is extremely hot. So, I mean, this is a lesson learned, and I feel really sorry for all the people that died in that situation or that got hurt. There was a 9-year-old little boy that got trampled, which that's
Oh my
sad. But I
God.
thought to myself, why would you take a 9-year-old to a big event like that? I mean, I have a nephew that's similar to that age, and I would never want him to go out there and be amongst those types of, that big crowd like that because anything can happen.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
people need to keep their kids home. And I think they need to rethink these huge venues. Either have it so there are, there's seating or something where they can stop a tragedy from this. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue tied today. Okay, so they can stop a tragedy like this from happening ever again, because this
Yes.
made absolutely no sense. And I
Exactly.
can't wait to see the outcome of it and the changes that are going to happen because this was very unfortunate. It just so happened to happen to Travis. And isn't
Yeah.
he the baby daddy of one of the Kardashians? Isn't that
Kardashian Jenner
Kylie's baby daddy?
clan. Yeah, Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, that's
And I think she's pregnant
Kylie
now with
Jenner.
their
So
second child.
I believe so. And people are actually attacking her as well because apparently she was tweeting or something or on Instagram while all of this was going on. And so everyone's
Right.
attacking her. And so it's kind of strange. I mean,
Man.
everything that has happened. Have you noticed that most of the men that seem to team up with the Kardashians, something always happens to them?
Yeah, huh? As there seems to be
See?
a trend. Or is it that it's just
Absolutely.
always documented? Or is that the thing? Because things happen to everyone in all situations, aspects of life, but their life is on television. Who
It's
knows?
definitely on television, but there's only one person that has come across the Kardashians and nothing has happened to them. Black China. Black
Oh,
China.
well,
She's the only one that has survived the Kardashians. I mean, she hasn't had anything major
survived.
happen to her. She survived. I mean, Black China, she came in there and snatched her up some Kardashian DNA and
No,
made it
honestly,
known.
I think that's
She
exactly
definitely
what
did that.
happened. Right, Black China, man. And I think it's the craziest thing because Black China and Kim Kardashian used to be, really good friends. So that's, it sucks how that whole relationship went down with their family. But I suppose maybe Black China did come out unscathed. She came with a gorgeous baby girl. So that was a benefit to having China in the family. And hey, she definitely added some spice to their life. Some good spice, some great seasoning. So, Aleesha, are you with us? Look, I am so tired of myself, but I have like this dry eye, and the tears they just keep a, keep a coming. But I wanted to start talking about Will Smith and his boy Jaden. You know, the tears keep coming. So, at 15, Will and Jaden Smith, they were in awesome, post-apocalyptic movie together, After Earth. Actually, truth be told, I did not actually get to watch this movie. I've never seen it. And I feel like that kind of adds to the fact of how Will Smith said that it was, the most painful movie he's ever worked on, because the movie, it got terrible reviews, which is shocking. It was directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and that is a wonderful director. You've seen his movie Signs, and got another movie that came out a little bit more recent, and it's just a really great movie. But After Earth did not do well. They spent $130 million on this movie, but only made back $60 million. So that is what we would call a flop. But I want to know why Jaden Smith wanted to get emancipated after the movie. I mean, I guess, Will Smith did say it was a joke. The movie came back as a joke. And Will was explained that Jaden told him, he says, "Dad, I want to be emancipated." And then he says, "I know if we do this, he can be an emancipated minor because he really wants to have his own place." Like, ooh, that's the backlash. On the other side, if kids just want to have command of their lives, I understand. But just days later, both Will and Jaden shut that thing down because they explained that the emancipation was a joke, and Jaden wasn't really serious about, breaking off and living on his own. But it was just nothing more than a lighthearted exchange. Hey, Aleesha, we were just talking and
Ta-da,
discussing
I'm back.
how.
I'm sorry. I lost you for a
No
moment
worries
there.
at all. We were just discussing how Jaden, joked with his dad for a little bit about wanting to be emancipated after their movie After Earth. He's just said, "I want to be emancipated." And, I guess really now it was a joke that between the two of them for years, but people thought he was serious. I mean, I would think he's serious too. What about you?
I actually thought he was serious because I actually saw an episode of the Red Table Talk, and they said that they allowed him to move out at one point because they didn't say it was about the movie, but they said that
Mm-hmm.
Jaden wanted to be out on his own at a very young age, and they allowed him to do so. And so
Okay.
I'm not sure how much of a joke it is. Maybe at 15 they
Right.
didn't let him go. But I know somewhere around 16, 17, Jaden got his own place because they had a whole Red Table Talk
Wow.
that mentioned that. And so Willow was saying that she was angry that her brother was allowed to do a lot more things that she could because she's a girl. And they let Jaden do a whole lot more. So I believe that the new Red Table Talk that's coming up, isn't that Jay? I wasn't sure if that was Jaden or not that came walking out. They said he's going to be on the next episode that's
Wow.
coming out. But when I looked at him, he didn't look like Jaden. He looked, because Jaden has lost a lot of weight. It looked like his older brother. And so I wasn't
Ah,
sure. It said Jaden, but I wasn't sure if that was Jaden or the older brother. And if it's Jaden, he gained
yes.
not a lot of weight, but a lot more weight because he at one point was looking kind of frail. And so if that's Jaden, he's looking pretty good. But do I
Oh.
think they allowed him to be emancipated? It's possible because the Smiths are known as being very, what is it, free range parents, where they let the
I
kids
was
just
gonna
kind
say
of raise
unique.
themselves.
in a
Absolutely.
way,
But you know
right?
what? I think it's a great thing though. Being free range, I don't think it hurt their kids at all. I mean, they Willow is I don't know if you've heard her most recent music, but Willow's music is awesome. She is a rockin' girl. If I had a
Rock
daughter,
star.
that would be her. Oh my gosh, she is a rock star. She is beautiful.
Man,
It doesn't matter what she wears. Willow is just gorgeous. So I think the
she
Smiths did a
is.
great job, and maybe
She
maybe we all
is.
should try the free range parenting style because you know what, when you grow up like I did, I grew up a church girl. A lot
Me
of
too.
times the church girls and boys, they once they get out of church, they completely lose their minds. But when
Go
you are a free range
crazy.
kid and you can do whatever, they seem to be just a lot more grounded. And so I don't know,
Right.
maybe we should all try out that parenting style.
Definitely, I'd say consider it and take it into consideration and see what works best for you. But I want to discuss, speaking of Willow Smith and just her amazingness, I did hear recently she discussed, I don't know if it was on the red, I think it was on the Red Table Talk, but just from a young age where, she like started masturbating and she had an issue with masturbation. And she explained that it was her grandmother actually that taught her and told her how to masturbate at the age of 9. And so she said her grandma did that because she wanted her to know what, pleasure was and how she can get it on her own without the help of a man or someone else. Something like that. She said I was 9. Like, so it's like, I don't know what
Wow.
I'm going to understand. Or why I need to be
I
pleasuring
think I
myself at the age
missed
of
this
9.
episode. I
Right,
must have
right.
missed this episode, definitely, because first of all, I must say this. The Smiths, there are some extraordinary people. But the grandma, Gammy is drop dead super fine, first of all, which
She
is
is
ridiculous. But second of
gorgeous.
all, 9 years old, I mean, kids discover their bodies sometimes earlier than that. But I mean, she was at an age where she could understand, although I'd like to know what Gammy was showing her, like, use this. I mean, I'm not sure how you explain that to a 9 year old, but they do explore things. They have questions then, and I think when they're old enough to question, you need to answer those questions and answer them properly because if you don't, somebody else
Definitely.
will, or the streets will teach them. So, again, this is a free range kind of family. Gammy seems to be the one that's a little more old school, but she seems to be along with the program, because she realizes that her grandkids are Smiths. So you got to be, hey, they're exposed to a lot. And I still think that Will and Jada did an excellent job. Their kids aren't out here strung out on drugs. Their kids are not out here shooting up schools or doing anything outrageous. As a matter of fact, they're pretty cool and laid back. I mean, there are a lot of
They
celebrities out
are.
here. They're the celebrity kids that have lost their minds and just, look at where they are and look at the Smith kids. I
Yeah.
mean, come
Yeah.
on, they did a great job along with Raven Simone. I must say, I love her too.
You
Raven's parents did
know.
their thing.
Yeah. I was
They
just
did.
looking into Raven Simone a little bit more recently, actually, on Instagram. And it was interesting. I like it. I think I haven't really caught up, like stayed up to date with her. And so, I just really remember her from, That's So Raven and Raven from that era. So it's interesting just to see like, oh, like where she's at now in today's world and in today's just life in general and how she's doing. But I was going through and it was nice because she showed or shared, I believe, like a scan, like a brain scan, and just like what that means with a doctor. I can't remember his name. I would say Dr. Alma or something along I can't remember, but it's I guess like a world renowned neurologist doctor. And he was just going over their brain scans and what it can mean and the different effects and um, just like a sleepy brain and all these different parts of the brain. And I think it was nice because it actually within that was exposing some vulnerability because, you're talking about like why your brain is the way it is. And sometimes it could be drug related, but it could also be like abuse and emotional, like stress related as well. And so, I think for her to discuss like, oh, like I have issues, like discussing my feelings, or I have issues discussing my emotions, talking about myself, it really shed light, I think, a bit on like not just herself as a person, but what her whole persona, like her whole personality or brand is, and that's like a child star, specifically a Disney star. So growing up and working from 18 months all the way to however old she is now, and like in her 30s, and it's like only taking 3 years off of work to relax, that can have an effect on your brain and everything that you do in the meantime, and just how you interact with others, and your relationship with working, the balance it is with regular life, your work life. And it was just really nice to see, and for her, I think really cool for her to share, because I felt like I learned a lot. And so I'm all about the brain too. I like to learn about the brain. So
I'll have to take a look at that. I'm not sure where to find it, but you'll have to send that to me later. But I did see a little clip, I believe, of that where Raven said that also she doesn't really remember certain parts of being on the Cosby Show. She said that when she'd walk out on stage, she would forget everything. Like literally, she doesn't have any type of recollection of what she was doing or saying at that time. And so she said she remembers
wow.
things like the smells, being backstage, the smells of food and cigars and things like that. But she said she doesn't remember what she was doing while she was on the set. And, I believe that's why that came about, why they did the brain scans, etc. And it's
Hmm.
funny because I'm a brand new actress, but I know the first
Yeah.
time I did a complete scene,
Yeah.
same thing happened to me. I completely do not remember. It was like I was on autopilot. And I've heard Beyonce say the same
Right.
thing, that,
Yeah.
when she goes on stage, she doesn't remember. And a lot of people, of course, they think it's a ritual or, some other force.
Right.
And I'm going to say, I feel like it is. I feel like it's something. I don't know whether it's your brain just compensating for fear. I don't know what it is, but I
Hmm.
can definitely say whenever I've been on stage, there are times that I've gotten up there and sang and I didn't remember a word of what I said, did. After I left the stage, I was just standing there in awe. And I think the same thing happened to the one lady. Is her name Haley? Is it Haley Bailey or what is her name?
Oh,
The girl that sings that Flossie song, the one that
I
kind of
think, is
looks
it
like baby
Chloe?
Beyonce.
Yes, I think
Is
it's
it Chloe?
Chloe. Chloe.
Chloe
Yes,
Bailey.
yes, Chloe
Yeah, I believe
Bailey.
it is
And then her
Chloe.
sister's
She said the
Hallie.
same thing. Yes, they are so beautiful and so talented. I love those girls.
Very.
Oh,
I can't
they
wait
are
until Little
awesome.
Mermaid.
And I know. I'm like, you know what? I would have loved to have been the Little Mermaid also, but I can't sing like that, unfortunately. So I would have
Right.
loved it. But she's gorgeous and she has the voice. They play music. I love those girls. And I love the
Yes.
fact that they're so humble. I love that.
Yes.
But back to what I was saying about that. Yes,
Hmm.
I think that it is definitely something that goes on with the brain when you're a performer of any type, especially since with Raven, she was so young at the time that she was trained to do that. You
Yeah,
train children to do that,
definitely.
just like adults train, children are trained. But when you start that so early, she said when the lights and camera came on, she just automatically did whatever. And you could tell when she was in her teenage years, up into
Uh-huh.
her early, I guess, 20s, you could tell she was a showbiz kid. Because you'd see Raven,
Yeah.
I've seen her on award shows like backstage, and she was like just acting like something that was like a automated character or something. Like, you'd see when the cameras came on, she was like, yeah, hi everybody. Like she was very, very Disney like and
Ah,
very
interesting.
just very automated. And I've actually seen it a lot. I mean, I used to work for the mouse
Wow.
myself, and I used to
Yes.
see a lot of these the younger stars at one point. I used to see them when I was working there. And
Awesome.
I'd see the same thing in them. And I actually saw a few of them. There's one of them that's in the news right now. And I believe she's going to court over her conservator. How do you say conservatorship?
Yes,
Miss
Britney
Spears, Miss Britney
Spears.
Spears. I
Yes.
remember Britney as a little girl. I used to see her
Really?
when I worked at Disney when she
Wow.
was a little girl, and I used to see
Mm-hmm.
her ride her bike around the park at that time.
Oh,
And so I remember her as a little girl, and you know what? I wish her luck too, because you know what?
yeah.
I don't think she's lying. I don't think she's lying. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, Britney Spears was in a conservatorship. I don't know if this is something you're going to bring up later, but her
No.
father, Jamie Lynn, his name Jamie Spears, Jamie Spears.
Yes. Yeah.
He was basically running her life for like the past 13 years. And I just recently saw the documentary on it, and I have to go back and watch the rest. I fell asleep on the very end. But she's
Okay.
now in court fighting for her life, to have her life back, because they had detectives following her around. They tapped her phones.
Oh my
They kept her in the
gosh.
house. She couldn't do anything or go anywhere for 13 years. And her father was using her money. Her mother was using her money. Her sister was part of it. And now Brittany is
Oh
going
my
to court to get
goodness.
her life back. And literally, I mean, Kevin Federline, too, who was the baby daddy, and I don't know if she married him at one point, but when all of this stuff went on with her, when her whole mental everything fell apart, her life fell
Yes.
apart, Kevin
Hmm.
Federline went after her and got full custody of her children, and she had to pay him alimony and child support. So Kevin was a background dancer that went from a background dancer to a millionaire because of Brittany. And she basically, I just watched something before we started tonight, and she said
Yes.
that she apologized for some of the things that she said on Instagram because she knows that can be used against her. But her family did so much dirt to her, and I can't wait for this to be hashed out in court, because I think they did the girl wrong, or I'm sorry, not girl, woman. I think they did her wrong. I love Brittany, but you know what? I saw her change from that little girl that used to ride that bike around, and I'd see her as I was walking around on my breaks, and I'd see
Yeah.
her riding her bike along with the other kids. Christina Aguilera was another little girl I used to see riding
Yes.
around along with I think it was Justin Timberlake. All of them. I
Yep.
used to see all
Justin
of them.
Timberlake, Ryan
And all of
Gosling.
them grew up to be superstars. Yeah, and it's crazy, but it's also sad that some of them, their lives just kind of spun out of control. So again, I give
Right.
kudos to the Smiths. The Smiths definitely did an excellent job. And so, what is that
Here
you are
they
flashing on
are.
the screen there?
That's the kids there. There's
And
Ryan Gosling, Justin Timberlake, a lot of those famous babies.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, they
That's
were definitely
incredible.
famous babies. It's incredible that I met them all pretty much as kids, and I used to date one of their co-stars, but that's a whole nother. Well, I wouldn't say date. We were kicking it, but one of their co-stars way back when. I will name
Hey.
no names because that man is now married, so I respect marriage always. But
Amen.
yeah, it was amazing to see them as little children and to see them grow up and become what they wanted to be. And I remember one time there was one of the guys that was on that show with them. His name was, I'm trying to
Look at
remember. He
them
had
there.
dark hair. I
Hmm.
can't see who that is. Is that Brittany and
That's
Justin?
Ryan Gosling and I think Christina Aguilera.
I see. I'm blind as a bat without my glasses, so I can't tell who it is. You have to help me out definitely with that. But yeah,
Of
I mean, it's
course.
wonderful to see how all of them made their dreams come true. And it would be nice to like
Right.
talk to
It
them and
is.
ask them. It would be nice to ask them, well, what was your experience in the entertainment industry? Maybe after they
Yeah.
retire, maybe I could do that interview for them and kind of
Amen.
find out what's up.
Yeah, speak it.
I don't
That
know.
would be something. What all they've learned and
Yeah,
had to endure and grow from the said experiences. That'd be nice. But I
absolutely,
did want to say I agree
absolutely.
with you with just like another force kind of taking over during those moments of performance. I do pageantry, and so even in a pageant when we have to walk the stage or answer questions, deliver our speeches, sometimes I remember like just being on the stage and I come back and I'm like, oh, it's over already. I don't even remember walking out there. I don't remember hearing the sounds, the music happening, or I don't remember even giving my speech. I just said it, like, and then I was done. But, just kind of going through the motions, if you will. But it's a good thing, at least from speaking from my own experiences and the fact that I feel like that comes from being so prepared, like from practicing so much, going through your motions before you have to showcase them to others. I think from that, that's where I kind of just let, what's it called? Like when your muscle memory take its place. There you are.
I think it's muscle memory mixed in with adrenaline because it definitely is
Yeah,
one of those things.
adrenaline.
And you're a pageant girl. I should have known you were a pageant girl. I've been in one pageant ever in my entire life, and I retired from
Yes.
being a pageant girl after my first pageant. I'm not really a good sport when it comes to things like that. When the girl that won, I just wanted to rip all of her hair out.
Oh
So I
man.
was
Yeah.
not very good at being a pageant girl, but I was young too, so I didn't understand the winning and the losing and all of that. But actually the winner of that particular pageant, which I must mention, Hal Jackson's Talented Teens, I was actually one of the talented teens, and I
Yes.
lost, and I didn't take it well at all.
Oh,
But
man,
the
I
winner, I
understand.
ended up becoming friends with her, so it was pretty cool.
Hey.
So it's, I must say this, kudos to you in reference to that, because being a pageant girl is not easy, and I'm just not that girl. I'm not the one that can stand there and be elegant. I am the opposite of elegant, so it's okay.
No. Well, thank you. Yeah, I actually am. Well, I've been kind of new to pageantry. I've been in it since, well, I started when I was 18. So for a few years now, but I was actually off for 2 years. And I just came back last year to do pageants again. And I did it because I just felt like I lost a bit of my people skills in a sense and the gifts to just network. And so pageantry, shout out to, my home base right now, National American Miss Pageants. And, they've really instilled just um, confidence from within, like inner beauty, inner confidence. They really helped me with like direction, helped me with just communicating properly and how to communicate with others, especially in interview skills. Interviews are a really big deal, and also personal introductions. So just being able to share your strengths and not feel like you're bragging, you're just kind of sharing your strengths versus your weaknesses and letting those be known. So I have to give all that credit to pageantry because it's introduced me to so many girls who are going to be some amazing people, future CEOs, architects, astronauts, doctors, physicians. I mean, it's incredible. I'm really grateful. I have friends all over the country due to pageantry, and I just have to give credit to the National American Miss experience. And that's our website there, right there, actually. Unleash your potential, your inner beauty, let it shine. But it's
You
worth it.
make
It's
me
worth
want
it.
to
It's
be a
worth it.
pageant girl now. Yeah, you make
I
me
think
want to be a
everyone should
pageant
do
girl now,
it.
but I really, truly, I just am not about that life, though. I mean, I love pageants and I love to watch them, but I just could
Yeah.
not. I've done live shows, but I've done it modeling. I've done live shows, well, mostly modeling. And I must say, live shows are not for the faint at heart. Like, you literally, the thing about a pageant is if you fall down in front of a live audience.
You
And
do.
and I'm a clumsy girl. I am very
But
clumsy. I am
yeah.
very, sometimes I'm not very good at the spur of the moment. Like, I can talk till the end of time, but don't tell me to dance. Don't tell me to walk in heels in a long dress. Trust me, I'm the clumsiest one ever. So I'd probably be better as the announcer than being the pageant girl. But I would like to wear the beautiful pageant dresses, though, definitely. And the makeup is kind of cool too. So I like makeup and hair as well. But
Do you get to
otherwise, no,
experience all
I'll
of
leave
that
all of that
though?
to you.
In modeling?
As in
Because I've
modeling,
seen a
you
cat. I've seen a
mean?
catwalk where, or like at least a runway show, I should say, where a girl, she did fall down and she had to get back up again, on that catwalk. And I was like, man, like that takes a lot too, just in that form of modeling.
Oh yeah, yeah. In modeling, yes. I mean, that definitely can happen, but that's if you're a runway model, like Naomi Campbell. She's the queen of runway, but I've seen her fall many, many times. She's super professional with it
Oh
too. When you
wow.
fall, you just fall. And I've actually been in a show where I was wearing 5-inch heels, had to go down some stairs, and I tripped and I went, ah, and
No.
but I caught my fall and did like this and kept walking. But again, live shows, I am not a fan of. It's for me, it's just too much for me. And I've had moments
Yeah.
where I was in a wedding dress one time, and my wedding dress got caught on a nail on the stage, and I was the first girl to come out. So I used to do hair
No.
shows. I used to do other shows like that. But me, I'm a commercial model because I'm actually too short to be a runway model. I'm like 5'8", and that's kind of short. But I must say this: I'm more of the makeup girl. I'm the easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. I'm that girl. I'm very
Yes.
good in photos and that sort of thing. So I'll leave it to the professionals, Naomi Campbell and Tyra Banks. I'll leave that to you, and all the new ones like Winnie Harlow. I love Winnie Harlow. She is
Oh my
beautiful. One
gosh.
time for the
Right.
girls with vitiligo, by the way. I have a few friends of
Yes.
mine on the on Instagram, Miko, and I don't know what her handle is on Instagram, but she is a beautiful TikToker, and she has vitiligo, and she has the most beautiful, just beautiful markings on her. It's just beautiful, just like
Yeah.
Winnie Harlow. And there are several others on there, like Lydia, and there's a guy named Kirk Quincy. I think it's Quincy or Wincy. He also is on a few of these documentaries out here in reference to his vitiligo. He had a vitiligo that came from some type of medication that he
Oh,
took, and it
wow.
caused
Hmm.
the color in his skin to all of a sudden start to change to from dark to white. And so it's
Yeah.
unbelievable, definitely. We should interview them one of these times that we do a show. It'll be pretty interesting to be able to
That
see
would be
them.
nice. Oh, excuse me.
Absolutely.
That would. And I really love that,
Absolutely.
Winnie Harlow, is kind of shedding light on that representation for people who do have vitiligo and, showcasing that, hey, like, love yourself. This is you. You are beautiful and you can do anything you set your mind to. So I think that's wonderful that, she's just a showcase, a great representation for embracing who you are and loving who you are, no matter
And
what
there
you look
she
like.
is. There she is.
There
She's
she is in
so
her
beautiful. Oh my
gorgeousness.
goodness.
Oh, she's so
Yes, she was on
pretty.
America's
Yeah.
Next Top Model, as a matter of fact. And
I
everyone was like, "You
remember.
just look gorgeous." And I've since then seen
Yes.
little baby dolls that have vitiligo. And they're
Yes.
absolutely beautiful. And I'm so happy that these people are finally designing things of all types, you know what I mean? Designing dolls, etc.,
Yes.
that are representing everybody. It's about time. Because you know what? Not everyone is the same. And you know what? People have issues, people have skin conditions, etc., but it makes them no less human. So, I appreciate it. And Winnie, go Winnie. I love Winnie. Oh my goodness. If I could walk like her on that stage, maybe I might do a few more shows. So, I don't see you on there. Where are you? You must have disappeared for just a moment. So you guys, I'm going to continue talking. I'm going to talk a little bit further about the news. Um, I actually have seen that they are trying to come out with a vaccine for the COVID vaccine for the kids, the booster that they're trying to come out with for the adults, for anyone that's over 18. And then I'm also seeing that they are coming out with a vaccine, or I think it has been approved for the kids at this time. And I believe, I don't know the age range, but I'm not sure if I am okay with children being vaccinated. I personally have taken the vaccine, and I had a reaction to it. And I thought to myself, I'm not really sure if I would want to give it to children, to small kids. But, I guess that's going to be a choice for any of the parents out there, and those who, it's the parents' choice for their child to keep them safe. So I think that's okay. And with all the government mandates that are going on, it's making it so that a lot of people are losing their jobs or walking off of their jobs because of being afraid to take the vaccine. And some of them just feel that it's personal choice. And so I really think that, it's kind of scary in a sense, because I just recently saw a nurse in New York that was walked out of her job. And she said she had been an ICU nurse for 13 years and she lost her job. I'm actually talking about the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and the fact that people are losing their jobs behind
Oh
the COVID
my.
vaccine, not receiving it. And recently
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a nurse on TikTok, and she said she had been an ICU nurse for 13 years and they walked her out of her job. And
Yes.
she
Oh,
was
let's
heartbroken.
talk
And
about it.
again, I work in the hospital industry, and it's a scary thought, especially for those who have went to college and who have gotten licensed nurses, because there are more than nurses in hospitals that
Right.
people don't realize that, all of the people that do the MRIs, the people that do ultrasound, etc. These people have had to sit before boards and get certifications that cost them a lot of
Yeah.
time and a lot of money. And to lose your job over a vaccine, I mean, how fair is that? Because it should be personal choice. I've never seen a vaccine that has caused people to lose their jobs. Most of the time in the hospital, I mean, I've been working in hospitals for several years now, and most of the time it's an option. But what's interesting is with COVID, you suddenly, it's not an option anymore. It's becoming either you take this vaccine or you lose your job and you lose everything you worked so hard for. So, I
That's
mean, what do you think
crazy.
about that?
I think that that is crazy, and that people need to start, making some noise about this, because I think to have it be where you're no longer able to work. And I think it's really ironic that it's a nurse who's getting kicked out of the hospital losing her job, when at the same token, we don't have enough nurses or doctors in the hospitals to begin with. So, how is it that you're going to kick out such an essential worker and you're over here begging for people to do her job? It doesn't really add up, nor does it really make sense, especially if, like you just said, it used to be optional. In that same video that I saw as well, she was mentioning that it was for religious reasons. So when did it become the case where we no longer honor religion exemptions, when it comes to putting things inside our bodies that goes against what we value and our what we believe? So I think that that's super crazy, and it raises a lot of red flags to me and a lot of eyebrows and a lot of questions. And not honoring religion, since when did that start, is one of them. And not honoring personal views, like you stated earlier, since when is that a thing too? And I just want to know why it's such a huge mandate for this vaccination that has proven to not only take lives but not be a benefit to others when it comes to COVID and itself. People who are getting the vaccine, they're still susceptible to receive COVID. They still carry the COVID symptoms. They basically do everything that someone who doesn't have a COVID vaccine does, except now they also have additional chemicals inside their bodies because of a vaccine that's allegedly meant to help them, but it's not helping them. So I'm just really confused, because so many people, especially young people, it makes no sense. They're having myocarditis, they're having heart issues, they're having heart attacks. And I mean, what 18-year-old, 19-year-old is dying from a heart attack? We're not going to normalize this and make it seem like it's a regular thing for teenagers and people who are 20 to 29 to have heart attacks. Like, that's not normal, and it shouldn't be, and we shouldn't be desensitize ourselves to it simply because there are just super, super huge on trying to get the whole nation vaccinated, even though they've also shown that that isn't working. I mean, I'm confused on why the CDC, I believe it is, are changing their definition. Or it's some organization, it's either WHO or the CDC, but they're changing the definition of what a vaccine is. It's comical. They're changing the
Oh, no.
definition of what a vaccine is so it can fit what they're talking about. So they're basically saying that, since this isn't really making sense already, we're going to change the definition so it makes more sense to what we're saying. You get what I mean? If you don't, exactly, because that's what the CDC is doing. And I think that all they're doing is just showcasing how much they don't really have a grasp of what is going on, and how much they're just kind of talking out of their behind because they don't know what's happening, and they're not allowing enough time to, have these practice, sources, not to practice, is this really going to work? To test a vaccine, that usually takes at least bare minimum a year. And so to do it within weeks, months, and then test on people, I think that was another a situation that's happening too. Senate, they're meeting before people, and they're like, hey, the CDC, the WHO organization, they're saying that, the people are now the guinea pigs with this whole vaccine mandate, because they haven't given enough time to test on animals. And now that they can't test on animals, they're going to test on people. And the fact that they're trying to bring 4 to 11 just children into this, people, I think, need to be more aware that, like, they're testing on your kids, and kids are dying. And so it's a really big deal. And I think that it's not okay. And that, we need to, as a society, as citizens of the US, come and band together to raise our voices and, say, hey, we're not going to get behind this. And it's even people who were saying, get the vaccine, don't be an idiot, you're the problem. A lot of those people have ended up dead. And of course, they're going to say it's due to heart problems, but what was the cause of those heart problems? Were they having these heart problems before they got injected with some chemicals, that are meant to save them and help them? Or did they start having heart problems after the fact? And so it's just a lot of questions and a lot of cases that need to be looked at, because too many cases are being raised up with death after being vaccinated, and it's too many young people that this is happening to, and it's not okay.
I agree, and I mean, with me working in a hospital environment, I mean, I've seen both sides of it. I talk to those who actually take care of the patients because most people think that it's the nurses that take care of these COVID patients. They do, but they also fail to mention that there are people that are respiratory therapists. That is their main job, to take care of that person's breathing. So they're the ones that are actually handling those COVID patients, and they don't get the kudos and the congratulations and the thank yous that they deserve. So I'd like to thank all of the
Yeah.
respiratory therapists and everybody else that
Thank
works in
you.
that hospital. And definitely thank you. And everybody from A to Z should be thanked, in that hospital. But I'm seeing that the cases, from what I see, the cases are going down. It just so happens that the floor that I work on, it's the step down from the ICU, and I also work on the side with babies as well. But I'm seeing less and less patients that are coming in that actually are COVID positive. And I don't know if that's due to the
Good.
vaccine or not, but do I feel like it should be given to children? I still do not agree with it being given to children, because I personally have taken that vaccine, and that's what I was saying before you joined me again. I took the vaccine, the first and second one, and I did it not because I was under pressure, because one, several respiratory therapists are my friends, and they actually speak to me candidly behind the scenes. And at that time, they suggested that it might just be a good idea at this point. Go ahead and get it done, because of what they're seeing from day to day. They're looking at chest x rays of patients that had that COVID vaccine and the ones that have not. And they told me those who do not have it, the chest x rays, their chances are a lot less. And that's directly from the people who are looking at these chest x-rays, who do this job for a living. And I've talked to them to see if they are vaccinated, and at first a lot of them were not, but then as time went on, a lot of them said, look, I'm seeing entirely too much. I personally shadowed them because I thought about going into being a respiratory therapist, so I got a chance to shadow
Yeah.
them, and I got to see
That's awesome.
COVID patients right in front of my face. And I tell people this: when you see someone on a breathing machine and you see how what they have to endure and how much pain they're going through, and when they
Right.
clean their trachs, etc., you'll have a different perspective when you see that right in front of your face. When you hear the news and you hear people talk, etc., there is nothing like seeing that right there live and in front of your face. So I think that with the vaccines, though, I think that it should be something that's not necessarily mandatory. I think it should be personal choice. It's your body. It should be personal choice. I made that choice for myself. I made that choice with my family. We talked about it and we all decided. I have an elderly mother, and I wanted to try my best to protect her. I know it's not 100%, but it's some layer of protection. I mean, I was all against it, I must say. But also, I work in the entertainment business, and at this point in the entertainment business, they have made it where a lot of these casting directors, etc., they will not hire you if you do not have a card proving that you have a vaccine. And
They
it's
won't.
even they're even getting away from the whole testing you. I mean, a lot of them can rapid test, etc., but I actually had a production fire me because they thought that I wasn't vaccinated. But what it was, I didn't have time to go and get a copy of my card. They didn't tell me in enough time. And later on, I got an apology and paid
Good.
because they found out I
Amen.
was. But how fair is that? If I was not vaccinated, there's no reason that why a person should be fired. They should at least have the opportunity to be rapid tested or something of that sort. But I don't appreciate the discrimination, because you know what? And that's a personal choice. And there are also people that do have religious preferences, but what about those who have previously had reactions to vaccines? And with the flu vaccine in the hospital, it says that, it'll ask you why you didn't take the vaccine, because they send it around to the employees. It's kind of like a survey, but they're kind of finding out who took the test or who did not,
Right.
etc., or,
Hmm.
who got the vaccine. And I'm noticing with the COVID vaccine, they're threatening corrective action.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
even
if
Biden
you,
himself said that, we're losing patience for unvaccinated people. And I feel like that's a little like, oh, like, what does that mean that, you're losing patience for us, and what does that mean that we're getting fired if we don't have a vaccine, So it's definitely like, raising a lot of questions again, like I said earlier. And just, I do think it is, like you said, unfair. And I wanted to say along with that, granted, we haven't really heard so much about Aaron Rodgers, but Kyrie Irving and Aaron Rodgers, they both right now, Aaron being football, Kyrie in basketball, they aren't allowed to play on their teams because they are unvaccinated. So it's definitely not just, it's everyone. It's everyday people. It's people who are making millions of dollars as well. And it's even essential workers in the hospitals that are helping us, everyone. It's kind of like, well, when I think of all of that, and I also think of Biden himself, saying that they're losing patients, it's like, well, is this going to be a new thing? I have jobs now where it's not necessary to get the vaccine and it is still optional, but I have other jobs where it is necessary. And like you said as well, they're not going to hire you if you are unvaccinated. So is the new wave going to be, you need to be vaccinated everywhere? Like, I know it's in some places now, but it's in like some places in all the careers. You know what I mean? So I wonder if it's going to be everywhere, every career, in the coming months.
It sounds like, I've heard people say things like the mark of the devil. It kind of sounds like that. You know what I mean? Where you've heard this whole what was the name of that book? I think it was called 1984 or something like that. George Orwell. I believe these people had some type of mark or a chip or something that was implanted in them. I might be mixing up stories. But with that being said, I
Not at
still
all.
think that it's wrong. It's wrong because people should have a choice. It's wrong because I understand people have died from COVID, but people are still, you still can contract COVID with or without this vaccine. And yes, it's supposed to lessen your chances. But again, how can you tell somebody that may have had a horrible reaction to another vaccine that if you don't take this vaccine, you're going to lose everything that you've ever worked hard for? I just think that's absolutely
It's
outrageous. I
crazy.
think a lot of lawsuits are going to spin off from this. And I think it's really going to turn ugly. And
It
also, what I
is.
have seen
Oh,
somewhere,
God.
I was reading somewhere and they were saying that people were making fake cards, fake vaccine
No
cards, and they were
surprise.
prosecuting these people. And I'm like, so you're going to take away someone's livelihood and their opportunity to feed themselves and their child, but you're
Hmm.
going to also um, you're going to penalize them. I mean, fake cards. Why don't First of all, they need to make it so that if they're going to have a card and
Hmm.
look for the validity of it, you're going to have to do it like an ID card, like they do with the driver's license, etc., with the holograms on them, etc. Because the cards that they have now are paper. So how do
Right.
you expect people to not
Digital
duplicate
ID.
something that's so easy?
Yeah,
Absolutely. And so who knows, what are they going to do next? I really don't know what they're going to do next, so we'll see.
definitely. Man, that's crazy. And I think now that you did say that, that just made me think to, when COVID was first happening and we were still in the pandemic, do you remember how people were, kind of scared to touch cash, and they're saying, you can get, the disease can pass even through paper, like just being on substances and cash being one of them. And so when you just brought up, it's not funny, but, brought up, people mentioning the vaccine being, equating it to the mark of the beast, and that is something where it's going to prevent us between buying and selling. You have to have the mark to buy and sell. And I can understand why people would equate it to getting the vaccine, because it's like, oh, well, you can't get a job unless you're vaccinated. You can't go in the store unless you're vaccinated. And it's like, we've already talked about, not having cash because of COVID, and everything's, coin based and everything's online nowadays. So I can see and understand if this whole digital ID, you can't buy or sell without the vaccine. And that's our new currency, in a way, our new way to access our currency through vaccination. So it's, y'all better pray for eyes to see and ears to hear, okay? And pick up a Bible while you still can. Amen. Because it is crazy. And I'm just really hoping for the best. I think that's all you can do. And just really, trying to stay on top of things the best you can. I, for one, am actually not vaccinated, and I'm sure that's not a surprise from the way I've been talking. But, I was once upon a time considering it, really contemplating whether or not I wanted to, but it wasn't until I really saw that, between a vaccinated and an unvaccinated person, there wasn't much difference. I mean, aside from what Aleesha spoke between her respiratory therapist that she knows and in the hospital where she actually works at, and them actually seeing a difference between x-rays and the scan of your lungs. Aside from just now hearing that for the first time, I've never seen or heard of any differences between a vaccinated and an unvaccinated individual. And that's why I was kind of like, well, I'm not really seeing why I should be vaccinated, because if anything, I feel like I might be worse off because of it. And that's just how I feel personally. And that's why I haven't chosen to get it yet. And why I wanted to give it more
Absolutely. Well, I
time.
do.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And you know what? I personally I actually have personal friends that are respiratory therapists as well. And if you'd ever like to speak to one, like behind the scenes, I'd be more than happy to have them talk to you, because I want them to tell you what they see.
I
I don't want you to
would.
hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not a respiratory therapist, but I sit amongst medical staff, which eventually I will
Yeah.
also be medical staff, but I'm not going into respiratory. But I definitely know people personally that most of my friends are either nurses, respiratory, MRI technicians, etc. So I'm around it all day, every day, pretty much. And like I said, I
Yes.
see and hear the things
Do
behind
you
the
know any
scenes that the
like,
news can't tell you.
there you go. And that's really important, especially because you are there firsthand, your primary source, essentially. But I was going to say, do you know any like pharmacists, people who are creating, putting together the vaccines, like chemically?
No, I don't know any. That would actually be chemists. And no, I'm trying to think. Do I know any chemists? I actually do not know anyone that is an actual chemist. But I did see that there was a black female doctor that has come up with. I believe it was a. I don't think it was a vaccine. I think she came up with something to fight cancer. You know what? I'll have to find that for our next show so that
Amen.
we can talk about that a little more. But I was just watching something today, and there's some cartoon that is out, and it's about a little girl who is a little scientist, like she's into science and everything else. And I was thinking, I just posted on my Instagram. By the way, my Instagram, you guys, it's AllieOops 2017 on Instagram. Make sure you follow me. And I posted about a little cartoon, a little girl that was into science. And I said,
Love
the one
it.
thing we really need to do, we need to push our little girls to learn math and science. You have to be strong in math and science in order to get these good paying jobs, for them to be
Hmm.
scientists, for them to be, these technicians, nurses. They have to know math. And we always seem to let our little girls shy away from that and let the boys be the ones that are able to go into these things. And our little girls are brilliant. And
Right.
many times these
They
little girls
are.
are pretty smart. And I think that we need to really push them and tutor them and teach them and make them not afraid of math. And I must say, I am terrible at math, you guys. But, and Mariah Carey, she said the same thing. She said she never could do algebra. But you know what? Mariah Carey has that voice. I mean, her voice, she's famous for that voice. She's beautiful, everything else. And some of us just aren't able, Mariah. I wish I could hit that note, and I wish I could prance around the stage with a huge feather boa and hold my ear and go ah, but I can't do it. So with that being said, we need to push our little girls to become more than just beautiful. And I'm
Yes.
always an advocate for that we have to push our girls to do better and be more than that
Definitely.
trophy wife, that NFL wife. Let her be a NFL wife that just
Who's in
discovered the
STEM?
next best, I don't know, stem cells, or I don't know, whatever cure she could come up with. I'm just tired of seeing beautiful women just be that, just beautiful. We have brains and we need to use them, definitely.
Amen. I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, I feel like that's a great place to close out our happy hour for today, this Tuesday. What do you think,
And we
Aleesha?
call the show Happy Hour, and we need to make sure next week we have some happy hour drinks. I'm drinking water this week, but we need to have some
Water
happy
makes me
hour
happy.
drinks while we're doing our happy hour. Yeah, water is my thing though. I Water is definitely a interesting choice and it makes me feel so much better. I need to drink a lot more water. It's great for the
Yes.
skin too, just to let you know. But I agree with you.
Yes.
I think this was a great show tonight, and I can't wait till we get some more co-hosts on here. We need some more
Me
ladies that could be
too. Me
part of the
too.
party.
Me too. Me
Absolutely.
too. Me
So uh,
too.
make sure you make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I can't talk tonight. I don't know what's going on. I think my tongue must have swollen or something. Maybe it
You
was the
know,
vaccine.
you silly.
I don't know. But if you guys enjoyed tonight's show, make sure that you go ahead and
Hit
donate
that
just a
like,
few nickels.
subscribe.
Definitely. And follow me on Patreon also. I'm Oops 2017. And if you enjoyed our show, feel free to, add a coin in there, here and there. Buy me a coffee, a tea, a water. And what
Hello.
about you? What about your
You
social
can,
media? Tell them all about
yes,
it.
ma'am. Yes, yes, yes. Y'all already know. You can find me on Instagram, IG at It's Gabriella's Time. Hello. And that is actually the same name for my Patreon account as well. It's Gabriella's Time, coming from you. Hello. Or from you, coming from me, Gabriella. So please tune in to next week. Tune in next time for where we'll be here again, just giving our 2 cents on all the drama and pop culture that's happening in our society, lives, and all around the world, specifically the US.
Every Tuesday.
Every
Every
Tuesday.
Tuesday, we will be here. Be here or be square. And make sure you guys join in with your happy hour drinks. We like water, but you can join in with whatever you like to drink. But water, perfect for the
Amen.
body.
Catch us next week.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Thank